Hi friends, Krista here. Thank you so much for stopping by another Vlogmas video. I know there are a lot of videos to watch in your feed, so the fact that you're taking the time to watch one of mine really means the world to me. I am going to be talking today about, as you saw from the title, 12 books that I want to read in 2024. I started this project just this past year. I had never done it before, but last year I chose 12 books that I was going to read throughout 2023, and I did it. I read one each month, except currently it's still the beginning of December, and I have Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close as my last pick, and I'm not sure I'm going to get to that this month. But even if I do 11 of the 12, I feel like that's a huge win. A lot of people do this in the form of these books will self-destruct, or if I don't read these, I have to unhaul them. That is not really the plan here. The plan for me is to pick books that I've had on my shelves for quite a while, and I've just never felt the urge to pick them up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I will probably at some point go through the list from 2023 and see how they did. But today I'm just going to be talking about the books that I'm going to be putting on that stack and making a spinner wheel for each of my TBRs in the coming year. I will spin the wheel and pick one of these, and I just have to read it during that month. And I hopefully will have just as much success in 2024 as I had in 2023. So I really have not put these in any order. Many of them I chose because I have been doing my recommendations cart for a number of years. And so I went back to look at lists from those early years of recommendations cart. And so those are books that you guys have recommended me to read off of my shelves, and I just never got to them yet in the last few years. So they've been on my shelves, most of them, for a couple years at least. None of these are new additions to my shelf. So I have 12 books here, and each month in 2024, I will spin a wheel, and whatever it lands on is the book that I will read during that month. So here they are. The first one is one that I received from a Christmas book exchange that I do with my BookTube besties, and it's America's First Daughter by Stephanie Dray and Laura Kamoe. I don't know why I haven't picked this up. It's been on TBRs a couple different times. It was a book exchange book. I received it from Lindsay, and the card that I got from Lindsay says, "We talked about this book a few times." And still, I haven't read it. So this is a historical fiction, American history. The first daughter is Patsy Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson's daughter, Patsy, is going to be the main character in this. So I feel like it's going to be really good. I've not read anything by Stephanie Dray and Laura Kamoe that I can think of. I may be wrong about that, but I love historical fiction, so I should read it. And I will next year. The next one on the stack here is Orchid House by Lucinda Riley. This one, I've read other Lucinda Riley books and I've always liked them. And I have quite a few books by her on my shelves, and I would like to read them all. This is just one that has been recommended to me maybe a couple different years, and still it sits unread on my shelf. So this one is spanning from the 1930s to the present day. From the Wharton Park estate in England to Thailand, the sweeping novel tells the tale of a concert pianist and the aristocratic Crawford family whose shocking secrets are revealed, leading to devastating consequences. Okay, I love books with music in it. I love historical fiction, and I've been to Thailand. I was there for a couple months, actually, and went to an orchid garden while I was there. Like, everything about this feels like a book that I'm going to love. And I know that I like Lucinda Riley's writing. So I'm glad that this is finally going to get read. One that I'm not sure I'm going to like is Maud by Melanie Fishbane. I have had this for a number of years, and I think I've been hesitant to pick it up because it hasn't been getting great reviews. It didn't blow everyone away, but this is about the life of Ella Montgomery. It's fictionalized, a novel inspired by the life of Ella Montgomery. And I love Ella Montgomery, and I know her life was really tough, and she struggled a lot with different things. So I feel like it could be really good, but it just didn't get great reviews. And so I feel like that's what my hesitancy was. But we start with 14-year-old Lucy Maud Montgomery. Maud, to her friends, has a dream to go to college, and just like her idol, Louisa May Alcott, become a writer. But living with her grandparents on Prince Edward Island, she worries that this dream will never come true. Well, we know that it did come true. I'm looking forward to reading it and kind of seeing what I think, but I am going in with low expectations. I just want to read it and get it off my shelves, either and love it or pass it along. Another American historical fiction, I believe. Yes, it's about the Civil War, is My Name is Mary Sutter by Robin Oliveira. And I believe this has a sequel now too, or maybe more than one. Maybe it's part of a series. I'm not sure, but I've had this on my shelves for quite a while, as is the case with all of these. But Mary Sutter is a brilliant young midwife who dreams of becoming a surgeon, determined to overcome the prejudices against women in medicine and eager to run away from a recent heartbreak. Mary travels to Washington, D.C. to help tend the legions of Civil War wounded. Civil War historical fiction. I think I'm going to love it. One that's a little more literary fiction, but also historical, is Anne Patchett's Bel Canto. I love this edition. I've seen other editions that I don't think are quite as pretty, but this one is really beautiful. And if you notice in the background, that's music. This is also going to have music as a big part of the story. Somewhere in South America, at the home of the country's vice president, a lavish birthday party is being held in honor of the powerful businessman, Mr. Hasakawa. Roxanne Koss, opera's most revered soprano, has mesmerized the international guests with her singing. It's a perfect evening until a band of gun-wielding terrorists takes the entire party hostage. But what begins as a panicked, life-threatening scenario slowly evolves into something quite different, a moment of great beauty as terrorists and hostages form unexpected bonds and people from different continents become compatriots. What? What on earth? That sounds amazing, and I feel like I'm really going to enjoy this, but I haven't gone around to it yet. I need to read it. I will read it. I'm excited to pick a Jennifer Ciavarini book. I feel like I've had this on a couple different TBRs, Spy Mistress in particular. This takes place here in Richmond, historically. Born to slave-holding aristocracy in Richmond, Virginia, and educated by Northern Quakers, Elizabeth Van Lew was a paradox of her time. When her native state seceded in April 1861, her convictions compelled her to defy the new Confederate regime. Pledging her loyalty to the Lincoln White House, her courage would never waver, even as her wartime actions threatened not only her reputation, but also her life. Another Civil War historical fiction, but it's set right here where I live, so I'm very excited to read this. And Jennifer Ciavarini is one of the authors that I own 3 or more books on my shelves, and I haven't read any. So I need to read one before I continue to buy more. So Spy Mistress might be the first one. We'll see. The next 2 I very clearly remember getting because of hearing a review or people talk about these books on BookTube or on a podcast. The first one of those is The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon. I had heard so many people raving about this when it first came out. When did it first come out? It was like 2015, or I guess maybe not when it first came out, but early on in my BookTube days, because I started in 2016. So this was fresh. A lot of people were reading it, and a lot of people were really loving it. It's part coming of age story, part mystery. It's a quirky and utterly charming debut about a community in need of reconciliation and 2 girls learning what it means to belong. And it takes place in 1976, which is the year I was born. So that's really lovely, but it's in England. We follow 2 girls who are friends in this neighborhood. And I believe it's going to talk about faith as well. I'm not exactly sure, but I just remember people raving about this one. And so I got it. I found it finally at a thrift store. And so it's been on my shelves for a while. And now is the year. This is the year. I'm going to read it. It's going to happen. Another one that I heard about, I believe on Currently Reading podcast. I believe I heard this first from Mindy, who used to be one of the co-hosts or like guest hosts on Currently Reading. This is by John Cohen. This is hopefully not something that I will get early on in the year because I'm pretty sure we follow a man named Harry who's really struggling with grief. So maybe January, February might not be the best time to get this one. 34-year-old Harry Crane works as an analyst for the U.S. Forest Service. When his wife dies suddenly, he's unable to cope. Leaving his job and his old life behind, he makes his way to the remote woods of northeastern Pennsylvania's Endless Mountains, which I have to drive through every time I go up to my mom's. Endless Mountain region. I'm like, great, here we are. Determined to lose himself, but fate intervenes in the form of a fiercely determined young girl named Oriana. She and her mother Amanda are struggling to pick up the pieces from their own tragedy. Amanda stoically holding it together while Oriana roams the forest searching for answers. And in Oriana's magical, willful mind, she believes that Harry is the key to righting her world. Okay, so I Don't know exactly what's going to happen in this book, but I've heard that it's beautiful and moving, and so many people absolutely loved it. And I know it's going to make me cry. So there's Harry's Trees. One that I've talked about recently is Poison Study by Maria V. Schneider. I chose this as one of the books to read maybe October when I did Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails, when I played her TBR game, but I never got to it during that month. This is a fantasy, YA fantasy, I believe, by Maria V. Schneider, Poison Study. It's the first in a series, and I believe it's about somebody who's going to be like a taste tester for the king or a royalty of some sort. Choose a quick death or slow poison. About to be executed for murder, Yelena is offered an extraordinary reprieve. She'll eat the best meals, have rooms in the palace, and risk assassination by anyone trying to kill the commander of Ixia. So yeah, she becomes a food taster for the leader. I don't know where it's going to go from there, but it was very popular back in the day. I just never got around to it. And I don't own any more in the series, so I'm not super thrilled about starting a series, but I'm just so curious. Then I have House at Tford by Natasha Solomons. This one is in the spring of 1938. It's no longer safe to be a Jew in Vienna. I guess I didn't realize this was going to be a World War II historical fiction. 19-year-old Elise Landau is forced to leave her glittering life of parties and champagne to become a parlor maid in England. She arrives at Tford, the great house on the bay, where servants polish silver and serve drinks on the lawn, but war is coming and the world is changing. When the master of Tynford's young son, Kit, returns home, he and Elise strike up an unlikely upstairs-downstairs friendship that will transform Tynford and Elise forever. I love the Downton Abbey feel, and I love this blurb from Kristen Hanna, and I think this is probably what sold me on the book when I first got it, because I love Kristen Hanna, first of all. She said, fans of Downton Abbey and Kate Morton's The Forgotten Garden, which I loved, it was my first Kate Morton, will absolutely adore the house at Tynford. I'm like, sold. I love both of those things. I'm going to love this book. I really hope that I do. An author that I have loved, but I haven't read anything by her in the last year or two, shamefully, is Susanna Kearsley. I absolutely love Susanna Kearsley. And this one is Bellwether, and it has such a stunning cover. I don't even remember what this one is about. But it's one that has been recommended to me a few times on my recommendations cart, and I just never got to it. This is about a forbidden love blooming between a captured French-Canadian lieutenant and the daughter of the house, where he is an unwilling and unwelcome guest. Local legend has it that their story ended tragically, but centuries later, the clues they left behind slowly unveil another fate entirely. Susanna Kearsley often, in all of the books that I've read by her, plays with time in different ways. Not necessarily straight time travel, but there have been different ways that she kind of plays with time, and so I'm expecting a little bit of that in here as well. Should be really good. And then the 12th book that I have on my pile to read in 2024 is Fox. This is a Christian fiction by Nadine Brandes. I now own 3 books by Nadine Brandes, but I haven't read any. Brandes? I forget. This one is Remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day, right? Thomas Fox is turning to stone, and the only cure to the stone plague is to join his father's plot to assassinate the King of England. A little bit of fantasy. I think it's historical fantasy, and I'm really excited about that. And I've heard such good things about this book and her writing in particular, and I have this one and Romanoff and Mistress on my shelves, and I really would love to read all of them, but this was the first one to join my shelves, and it's been recommended multiple times. This is the year it's going to get read. Okay, so here are the 12 books that are going on the spinner wheel, and each month I will spin the wheel and pick one of these to read. I'm very excited. Some of them are a little longer than others. All of these have been on my shelves for far too long, and it's time for me to get to them. 2024 is the year. I would love to hear from you. Have you read any of these? Are you the one that recommended them and I didn't read it yet? I'm so sorry. It's going to get read this year. But yeah, these will live in their own special place. I have a little part of the shelf up there that they're going to go on so that they stay in front of my face, and every month I'm going to pick one and read it, and I'm very excited. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these that you've read or that are also on your TBR. Maybe put them aside, and when I pull it off, we could do an unofficial buddy read. But yeah, after talking about all of them, I'm very excited about this stack. So I'm excited for this project. It should be a good project for 2024. Hopefully as successful as 2023. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for another Vlogmas video tomorrow. I really appreciate you being here and being a part of this community and taking the time to watch my video today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.